All right, it's 1:30. Let's call the meeting to order. Looks like we've got a quorum. Give Cindy a minute. All right. Next item on the agenda is to receive the minutes. Everybody look at those.
Motion to receive the minutes from the September 7th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Cast your votes. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, continuance requests. Cindy, do you have any?
None today.
And is there anyone here today that wants to request a continuance on an item? I don't have a consent docket, so Cindy, you want to call the first one, please?
Item number 1, case number 15454, is a request of Johnson Associates on behalf of 82nd Street Development for a variance to sign regulations located at 8300 Broadway Extension.
Good afternoon, Mark Zidzow with Johnson & Associates. Address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Before you is an exciting project at the development known as The Half, which is up at 9000 Broadway. This project is known as Andretti's Indoor Karting. This is an indoor go-kart facility that's multi-level, and so the tracks actually go up and down between the 2 floors. And so what we're requesting here is a variance to the signage. This application did go before the Planning Commission. It was required to have a specific plan. They reviewed landscaping, signage, building placement, setbacks. They found it in conformance and ultimately approved it with the exception of the one item, which is signage. If you could scroll through this, in no way do we believe that the amount of signage we are requesting is offensive, but if you pause here, there's a large architectural A that is on one of the facades. It is the west facade that faces Broadway Extension. One of the unique things about this PUD was that we heavily restricted freestanding signage. So if you go out there, what you'll see is really one freestanding sign that has all of the tenants listed for the entire development. That was in an effort to comply with the comprehensive plan, which speaks to limit sign clutter along major arterials and highways. In exchange for that, we're asking for an allowance to allow for some interesting architectural signage on the building. So there are 2 sides of the building that we are asking for the increased signage. They're both shown in the renderings, but Planning Commission reviewed it, noted that their excitement for this project, and did not find the signs to be offensive. So with that, we filed the application to the Board of Adjustment. We would ask for your approval, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this one. Is there anybody who wants to address this application? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15454 for the purposes said meets the statutory requirements for a variance.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Cast your votes when you can. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 2, case number 15460, an application of a special exception of Lilyfield Inc. on behalf of Exchange Avenue Baptist Church to allow a child care center located at 1312 South Pennsylvania Avenue.
Good afternoon. I'm Holly Towers. I'm the director of Lilyfield. We're a nonprofit. We have several offices, one located at 1841 Exchange Avenue. Our variance application is related to a child care center that we hope to open up in the Exchange Avenue Baptist Church directly across the street from the building that we own. And so this building obviously has Bible classrooms that are empty during the week, and we know our neighborhood has a great need for childcare programming. We currently operate a childcare program for children ages 5 to 12. This would expand and allow us to offer one classroom for 4-year-olds who are not yet, maybe like they missed the cutoff date for public pre-K. So it would essentially expand access to early childhood education for members of our community. The building we own is not really appropriately situated for 4-year-olds, and so we've worked with the church to kind of work on the arrangement to use their classrooms. Obviously, the church is zoned R1, and so the church, according to code, can open a preschool in their building, zoned R1, but a nonprofit must seek a variance from the Board of Adjustment to open a similar preschool in their building. So I'm open to any questions if you would have them.
Anything from the board? No? And again, I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this one. Does anybody want to address this application? Okay, I guess we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15460 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for a special exception.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, so cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 3, case number 15451, request of Williams Box Forsey and Bullard on behalf of KPK Holdings to a variance to lot coverage and side yard setback in the R1 in Gatewood Urban Conservation District located at 1812 Northwest 16th Street.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Turner, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant who is also here with me. So this site is just east of Empire Slice, to give you a little understanding of where it's located. It's very unique in that the original home was built in 1916. A new owner took over, they kind of rebuilt it. You can see this was the detached garage structure when they had it. The applicant has since found those plans and those photos from that 1916 home, and they have restored it to its former glory. So really have made it a great lot for the area and are honoring that historic nature of the site. We are before you today for the side yard setback and lot coverage variances. The interesting issue, the permitting office actually issued an approved permit. That was done accidentally, so they were able to download and they actually did have an approved permit to build. So you could see one of those pictures, the foundation and the framing is already in place for that detached garage. Of course, also that detached garage is in the rear, so the visibility from 16th isn't great. Another interesting point is that the side yard setback, since it was historically there with that minimized side yard setback, according to the code, a variance may actually not be required. It says that if it was legally constructed prior to 1947, then it can be reconstructed or renovated without seeking a variance. Permitting requested that we included it with this variance application, so we did just to be safe, but maybe a little discrepancy as to whether or not a variance is actually required for that side yard piece. And then there's very minimum variance being requested for that lot coverage. Permitted is 1,000 square feet. We're at 1,005. I also want to point out briefly for that side yard setback, there will be fire rated walls and no openings on that east side of the detached garage structure. So the purpose of the ordinance there is met. Safety precautions are being adhered to. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and we request that the variance be approved.
Okay, any questions, comments from the board? Did I read in the staff report that this is on the old footprint?
Correct.
Okay.
As close as they could get with the picture.
I don't have anything else. Anybody have any questions or comments? And again, no one signed up to speak on this. Anybody wants to address this application? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve case number 15451 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested variance.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Approved.
Item number 4, case number 15452, request of Johnson Associates on behalf of Yes Companies for variance to service building requirements for a mobile home park located at 9321 Northwest 10th Street.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitzow with Johnson & Associates, address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Before you, we believe to be a fairly straightforward variance request. Our client, Yes Communities, owns this property, is in the process of making improvements and upgrades, and as part of that is seeking to expand it. It already has its correct zoning. We are working on some minor tweaks through the permitting process. Ultimately, what has come up is a requirement in the code that dates back to the 1980s, in that when you construct a mobile home park, you have to provide laundry facilities on-site and shared bathrooms. When we think back to what mobile home parks were, there were not individual laundry units and bathrooms inside the trailers, so oftentimes there were shared facilities where people could do laundry, shower. I think I would equate it more to an RV park than a mobile home park. Fast forward now, those homes are constructed much differently, and there's a different expectation from the buyer in terms of what amenities are included within the individual home. And so I know our office has requested this variance on several occasions, as have other developers around, and they've been previously granted. Our hope is that through the code update process, this section of the code will be updated to strike that when facilities are being provided in the individual units. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we would ask for your approval.
Questions, comments from the board? Is there anybody in the audience wants to address this application? I don't have anybody signed up to speak. Okay. I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15452 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested variance.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Cast your votes.
Thank you.
Approved.
Item number 5, case number 15457, an application on behalf of Sadie Joe Living Trust to allow a mobile home to serve as a temporary second dwelling for a medical hardship in the R1 residential district. Item number 5.
Looks like Shayna is the are you the applicant?
No, I'm here. It's my mother-in-law.
Okay, well, come on up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about the application, please.
My name is Bobby Strange, 30322 Hickory Park Road, McLeod, Oklahoma.
Okay. Tell us about your application, please.
Beg your pardon?
Would you tell us a little bit about your application?
Well, it's for Shayna Soltuska, which is Sadie Joe's granddaughter, to live across the street from her. She's actually taking care of Sadie's son, Steve, who is in pretty bad shape medically, and she wants to move a temporary trailer onto that property so she can help take care of him, and also Sadie right across the street, but we made Steve the primary subject.
Anything from the board?
Just a question for you. Where's the trailer going to be located compared to the existing home?
On the property just to the north, I mean, it's actually the same property, but just to the north of that house that he lives in.
Okay. I think part of the approval on that is that they wanted the manufactured home to be behind
Okay.
the existing home. And again, I don't know
Can we set it to
logistically if
just
it
to
can
the
happen.
north and behind? Or does it need to be completely?
No, I think just behind the back stem wall.
Yeah, we can do that. We can keep it behind his house.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
I think we can do between 1 and 3 years, is that right?
I think 3's max, right? Okay. Okay, nobody signed up to speak on this one. Guess we're ready for a motion then.
So what's the requirement on the location of the building then?
I believe it's supposed to be behind the stem wall, the rear stem wall.
Okay. Motion to approve case number 15457 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception for a term of 3 years and ensuring that the proposed mobile home is located behind the rear stem wall.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, cast your votes. Oh, how many years? 3 years. 3, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay, you're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 6, case number 15446, an application by Troy Williams on Branch Communications on behalf of David and Carol Adul for a special exception to allow a telecommunication tower located at 222 Southwest 21st Street.
Okay, you're up. Give us your name and address and
Yes,
tell us about the application, please.
Yes, sir. My name's Troy Williams. I'm with Branch Communications. Our office address is 825 North Robinson, Oklahoma City, 73102. I'm asking for a special exception for a 125-foot monopole in Industrial 2 zoning. The address is 222 Southwest 21st, which I'll get to in just a minute. It's a little confusing because the outline there is actually the tower's in the corner. It'd be the southeast corner of that, just outside this. Part of it's in the square, so it's right just west of that building. So it's in a corner fence, but let me get to it's a 39 feet by 55 feet lease area in the back southwest corner of that square that's up there. The property is owned by David and Carol Adel. The property is zoned I-2, as well as all the property around it. Mr. Adel owns the property to the west, to the east, and to the north tracks. The site's to fill in a hole there. We've been trying to get coverage through the park and the housing authority. It's also will relieve capacity on other sites. It'll enhance cellular, data mainly, broadband Wi-Fi, and E911 services. There's a lot of use going on at the Oklahoma Housing Authority, but it's also to cover the residential in that area, but also all the industry. There's actually the site kind of area. I did that, highlighted it. It's a little large so you could see it because it's not behind, I believe it's Mr. and Miss McCurdy's house. It's actually behind Taylor's. There's a fence where the car repair shop is. The reason why it sticks out 5 feet on the west side is because I'm putting in an 8-foot black vinyl fence with landscaping, so I needed some extra room to landscape it. So we're not actually going on lot 26 and 27 and 20 feet of lot 25, if that makes any sense. I did look over the opposition letters, went through them. I did provide staff with some documentation regarding health and safety. There's the coverage map, by the way. It covers the park, the river, the industrial areas, the plant, and that's all in building coverage as well, outdoor, of course. The Documentations I provided talk about health and safety. Some of the letters, which are a violation of the Telecom Act of 1996, Section 704B I provided a copy of that just so you'd have it. I'm sure you're very well aware of it. Also included letters or documentation from the American Cancer Society, National Institute of Health, U.S. Food and Drug, World Health Organization, and the FCC, just so you know they all say this pretty much the same thing. I included a letter from a doctor, it's 46 years, internal medicine, and a lot of the misnomers about wireless is non-ionizing versus ionizing radiation. The sun is ionizing radiation. It is 1,000 times stronger than a cell tower, which is actually non-ionizing, so it's not skin penetrating, things like that. The tower will also be, is where it says ADUTL, that's where I set the tower in the far back of the area. It's also going to be zoned or structurally engineered to handle 3 carriers, but with a 0 fall radius. So if a catastrophic event happens, F5 tornado goes through here, it's designed to collapse within itself. First of all, it's designed not to come down, but extreme circumstances, maybe. I'll be happy to answer any questions. The reason why we went here is because they're not allowed in the park. So I had to go to the closest park, closest to the Wiley Post Park area, and it's industrial. Even the houses to the south of it are on industrial too as well. Any questions?
Anything from the board?
It's for Verizon, by the way. Sorry.
How tall is the tower?
125 feet.
And so 125 feet, so it has to be 125 feet away from residential?
Yes.
And that's, is that the variance? Is that what he's asking for?
It's a special exception, but
Or special exception?
yes.
To be within the,
Because they have residential use, it's actually from the residential use, so it needs to be, that's what the special exception is for. It's also, there's another tower that's approximately 4/10 of a mile away in Capitol Hill. And for a tower over 75 feet, it needs to be over half a mile. So I'm just, that's part of the exception as well, sir. And just to let you know, I did send letters out to the neighborhood. I didn't get any responses back. I know staff did, the city did, and I read every one of them. And hope I can address some of their concerns. They mentioned property values in there. Let me just say this. It's a $200,000 investment for the tower. Verizon's going to put $300,000 worth of equipment on it, so it's a $500,000 investment just for one carrier to go on this site. So it's a commercial, industrial use area, so it actually enhances the value.
Anything else from the board?
I think I'd like to hear from the protesters if they're here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody want to address the board on this?
Opposition. My name is Regina McCurdy. I live at 237 Southwest 22nd. I did not receive any letters from you. I don't know where he sent them. There were no letters sent to my home. I'm pretty sure my neighbors didn't get any since I've been in touch with all of them. We all wrote letters in opposition. He says there's no radiation. It just depends on what study you look at. It's also detrimental to birds, to bees. If you guys read our letters, we had documentation that says that it's not healthy. The city of Oklahoma City is spending $1.2 million, I believe, closing Harvey between 24th and 25th to make a plaza there. They're also opening the park, is my understanding. There's an agreement with the railroad to reopen the thoroughfare to come from the park to Harvey, and this will be right in that, directly on Harvey Avenue. And I just think it's going to be an eyesore, not to mention, I think it's unhealthy. Many of the letters, two of the people that wrote letters, their father lived under a tower in California from, I believe, 1990, and died sometime shortly after that from cancer. He lived directly under the tower. It was on his property line, just like this would be for me and for Rudy and for his grandson and daughter-in-law that live with him. So we want to protest the tower. We don't want to see it there. Our coverage is fine in that area with our cell phones, with our internet. I don't see a purpose for it to be there. I think it could, even though it's zoned industrial, the entire area south of there is residential. The commercial is only on 21st Street, the industrial part. Everything else on 22nd Street is residential. So I don't know if anyone else here wants to speak, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anything from the board? Okay, thank you.
I think it's just a money thing. You know, they pay you money to put one of those towers on your property, so.
My name is Michael. I'm Rudolph Taylor's grandson. I don't think the tower will be safe because I know it'll come with weather. I've been in roofing all my life. That tower can blow over, hit my grandfather's house. He's 89. And I don't think it'd be safe for the neighborhood. And then the transit's going to want to come back there and try to put tents up and sleep back there in the alley. And that's just going to cause more problems for the neighborhood. Well, right there at 231. It's going to be directly right behind our backyard.
Anything from the board? Yeah? All right, thanks, sir. Anybody else want to speak on this application?
Yeah, I'm Dave Vanderberg. I live at 221 Southwest 22nd, and it's kind of diagonal from my house there, but I don't see enough room to really put a tower up there as big as you're saying and have guy wires and anchors of any type that would really hold it sturdy. And like my friend there was saying, it is dangerous that close to housing.
My name's David Adel. I own the property. I live at 12008 Remington Road, and they have had 3 different drilling contractors come out, drill the sand, drill the ground to make sure it was stable. You can't see it from Harvey. It's probably 75 feet east of Harvey, and we've got trees all up and down Harvey. So, and you know, anytime you have a change, some people like it, some don't. They're doing that big festival deal there on Harvey. They're closing 25th to 24th. A lot of people don't like it. Personally, I do. Gives things, you know, we're growing. The community's growing. This is part of it, and their sale may be good, their cell service, but when I talk to Verizon, they're needing this more for the park, the people out there, you know, playing around and whatnot, having their families out there. It was built not to fall down, so I don't see any negative impact on anybody. The only impact I see would be positive, where hopefully they'd get a little bit better cell, excuse me, cell tower reception. If anyone has any questions.
Okay. Anything from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Is there anybody else who wants to address this application?
My name is Pam Palmer, and I live crisscross from where they want to put the tower. I live at 322 Southwest 22nd, and I can see the tower if it was there from my street. And one door over from me is my church. Our church has been there 50-something years, and we don't see the need for it being there because I looked online and see the problem that it could cause for sicknesses and our health. And I've been living in the neighborhood 40 years, and I would like to just see our neighborhood stay the way it is because there's a danger in radiation, etc. I looked it up online, and we would really like to preserve our neighborhood. We've been working on bringing it up to, par, and I know they're getting ready to do a plaza around the corner, and they've been doing street improvements, and we really would not like to see the tower in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Yeah. Did you, go ahead, come on back up.
I do live at 237 Southwest 22nd, but I also acquired a property at 2506 South Harvey, which I plan to renovate when the plaza goes in, put an Airbnb in there, some new shops. So I'm making quite an investment in that area, which frankly, I will not do if the tower goes up. I won't invest my money in that area when it's that close, because again, I think it's going to be an eyesore. Although he says you can't see it for the trees, you can. I just saw two this morning on my way down Shields. And they're just, I just don't think it's going to be a good thing for the neighborhood. When the neighborhood is finally starting to come around. I've owned my property since 1984. I've made a huge investment. I tore the house down on the corner. I've completely remodeled my home. I retired to live in that home, and I hope to live there until it's time for me to go. But just wanted to mention that the other property is also going to be affected, the one that's directly on the plaza. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
I have a question. So the property on the north side of Northwest 22nd Street is all zoned, or Southwest 22nd is all zoned I-2, but there's houses on it, single-family homes? And so where does the R1 start? Do we know? There is no R1? That's all I-2 on the south side too. All I-2.
I would like to also say, right directly across from where they want to put the tower, there's a senior citizens home over there, right across the street. And most of our houses are like 100 and something years old. It's really a historical area. But the seniors, I love the seniors over there at the Andrews Square, and it would impact them as well.
Got a question for the applicant.
Hang on just a second. Be next.
Yes, sir.
I just want to get clarification. You said this was in the southeast corner, so this,
Yeah. Let me show you. It's easier if I show you. It's kind of, I got 2 or 3 things here. Maybe. Is it all right if I approach?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's actually the aerial of it, but just to make it easier, there's where it's at, where that little thing is right there. There's already a fence that goes up here and goes this way and it goes back up. And I'm back here in this point.
Yeah.
Only 39 feet deep by 55 feet, because I have the landscape for the code, so we landscape around that as well. They mentioned I was gonna take out trees and things. We're not taking out any trees, that area's just got a bunch of stuff. That area's just got a bunch of stuff stacked and debris, things like that, so it's gonna be cleaned up. Anyway, just to let, that's the area, I know that. That's directly behind my house.
Is there any opportunity for that tower to be relocated within that lease, maybe further north?
On the property?
Yes.
Well, the reason why we put it there is for highest and best use of property, because that way he can develop or expand the other operations to the car repair shops. that's kind of a area in the back that's not being used. There are some homeless camps or tents and things in those trees, and a couple other things that have been parked there,
But the service area, correct me if I'm wrong, the service area where you guys were most concerned about is actually north of here anyways, is that
no,
right?
sir, it's, the target location was, but it was only gonna be a lot taller, so we dropped the height of the tower and went to the industrial. In industrial two, you're allowed 200 feet.
But you're at 125.
Yes, sir. The elevation, it's based on ground elevation and things, and topography and trees and everything else. So when you go down to the park, it's a lot lower elevation versus up here.
How much, so do you know what the difference in topography is at the current location versus, say, the northwest corner of that lease?
Oh, on that property, it's pretty much the same. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the
Okay.
park.
No.
Yes, sir.
Um,
A foot or two. It's not anything.
But do you see the cell tower still accomplishing substantially the same thing?
Oh, yes, on that property, yes.
Well,
sir.
if it were to be relocated?
On that
Yes,
tract?
and within that same lease?
Yes, sir, it
Same
would.
square?
It would, sir.
Because that's just, I feel bad because I understand the sentiment of the neighbors that's there. I'm not an expert on technology, particularly as it pertains to whether or not it can cause cancer. So I'm not going to weigh in on that, but I do believe that if it's a possibility to help them by creating more distance between the tower and their homes, if it would still work, if the tower could still accomplish the same thing, I think that may be a good starting place as far as some type of compromise. Because that being said, looked at the zoning map, it's all I-2. And
Yes,
so it's not one of those things where it's not you all's fault, it's not the neighbor's fault either, but we have to work with what we have. And so I think trying to create a happy medium is where I'm looking at going.
And that's the reason why we picked that spot, because it was back in that back corner behind a lot of stuff going on there.
So you would not be opposed to relocating it?
Well,
north?
the property owner might be, but, my target area is that whole area, right there in the back of the park, so anywhere around there works. But Mr. Adel can speak to that.
It would not work to move that. All you could do is move it 50 feet to the north, and 50 feet is not going to make a bit of difference one way or the other. It's built not to collapse. It's built not to fall. Like I said, we've had 3 different drilling contractors out there drilling the dirt to make sure. And for the last 3 blocks south of there, everything is zoned I-2. Everything. There's some houses on it, but also on 82nd or 22nd Street, if you go look down on the corner next to it, there's industrial buildings. On the south side of 22nd Street, there's some industrial buildings. That whole 3 blocks is zoned I-2. And that's the only place that we could have it on that particular lot and still make the lot usable for us. That's the only place it
That's
can
for car repair? Is that what I
I'm
heard?
sorry, Steve, what?
You said for car repair? Is that what
Yes, sir.
the other use is? And that does not work if it's on this northwest corner?
No, with the car repairs there, we've got lots there that we're going to develop later on, maybe, but we can move it 50 feet north. That's the only place you can move is 50 feet north. And you're not going to accomplish anything by moving it 50 feet. That's not going to help it. And everything in that area is zoned I-2, has been forever.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just trying to figure out a way to make some inroads.
No, I understand. I want to be I was one of the founding members of Capitol Hill Main Street back in '88. I've lived there. I've had property all up and down there. I ran up and down there in my high school years. I went to Capitol Hill Junior High. Capitol Hill means just as much to me, if not more, than anyone in this room. I'm proud of it. I'm glad to be there. We've got property there. And this here, like I said, Verizon called. They need the tower to help with the park down there. It's way up to the north, and they just, if they didn't need it, they wouldn't be talking to me, I can promise you that. But that tower will not work in any other location besides right there where it's at.
Any other questions from the board?
Now, I've now heard twice that part of the reason that this is being installed is to service the park, but yet we can't put it in the park. And so I'm having a hard time figuring out why they have so much land and open land in the park, but yet we cannot put it there.
City of Oklahoma City, excuse me. City of Oklahoma City doesn't allow cell towers in the parks. Otherwise, we'd be in a whole lot of them. Not just Verizon, but all the carriers. Which is odd. I mean, it's not just for the park, it's for the whole area. So it's, but my little dot they give me a latitude, longitude was in the park, so.
Mr. Williams, you had a couple extra pictures that you showed to Marcus. Are those in the record? Have we already seen those, or were those additional?
They were in the packet I submitted. It showed the lease area,
Okay.
surveys in there, construction drawings, everything else. It just the notice was misleading a little bit, way they, you know, you have to, the address assigned was 911 address, so they have to have a sign at 911 run, so it incorporated those, actually 3 lots, and we're only 5 feet on one of those lots. The rest of it's on lot 23 and 24.
Did the city give any explanation, or is there reported anywhere the city's rationale behind not allowing these in the park?
I've been doing cell towers for 28 years, sir, and it's pretty much been the same way for as long as I've been doing sites. They just, there's no, I haven't ever been given a reason why.
Has the city been part of the request for better coverage at the park? What is the impetus for increasing the coverage in the park?
It's also capacity. You can see on that map, you can see the other sites, they're loaded up. So you have that, right now you see there's no in-building coverage. There's very little out, you can text from there. But they're trying to fill in that gap because of all the activity on the on the river. They mentioned the Oklahoma Housing Authority building. There's a excessive amount of use that goes on there. And that's a heavy industrial area with the plant and the traffic on Robinson North and South.
Who's the entity responsible for initiating this endeavor? Was it
Verizon.
So Verizon, of their own accord, said we need better service. So that's
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. They give me a latitude and longitude and ask me to find a site in this general vicinity. And yes, I do have checked with the city many times on the parks, because the key to Oklahoma City growing, every community growing, is infrastructure. Infrastructure is not just roads and power lines and all that, it's communications. So they invest quite a bit of money into a site, and they don't put them where they're not needed.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have one more question.
Oh,
I'm
hang on.
reading here the code, a section of the code says all towers shall be located a minimum distance equal to the height of the tower. So we're looking at 125 feet. From looking at that map, what's the restriction on the I-2 north of Southwest 21st Street? Like, why is that not a viable location where it's going to be at least 125 feet or so from any residential homes?
I believe that lot's only 100 feet deep anyway. I have it on the survey, I believe. The code also states in there that if you design the tower to structurally, to a zero fall radius structural, you can reduce that height. That's in a separate section, I believe. Oh. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just so you know, on the north side of that lot, it falls down probably about 15 feet, starting way back here, so you really couldn't even get that much. You can't build on the lot. If you go by and look at it, here's the corner, and it goes up like this, probably about from the street level to the ground level is probably 15 feet for quite a ways back, coming down. Make it unbuildable.
Okay, your turn.
I got a degree in electronics, and also the radiation off the tower that much used compared to, like, say, just a TV antenna or something like that, is a lot more you really want to have in your area that close to your house. And it carries a lot of radiation 24 hours a day, more than the sun even delivers from you, that you get from it. You can imagine what it do to your human body that's around there.
Okay, any other questions, comments from the board? Okay, one more time, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So I keep hearing that this tower is built not to fall. I can't help but think the Titanic was built not to sink. So I think that is an issue. It's going to be within 125 feet of our homes, at least of Mike and Rudy's home. So I think that's a real danger. I don't understand, like you don't, about the emphasis on having more cell tower service in the park. People that are in the park, I can't imagine that they're spending all that time on electronics. They're in a park. So that does not make any sense to me why that is such the emphasis that we need more cell tower coverage in the park. It just doesn't make sense to me. So if the lot's only 100 feet deep, again, I just don't see a reason that the cell tower needs to be there. And also, we keep going back to it doesn't cause cancer. So there are studies that say it doesn't, and there are studies that say it does. It depends on who funded the studies. So.
Yeah, I just have one more.
And also, he said he's just as invested in Capitol Hill as we are. He doesn't live in Capitol Hill. We all live there. So maybe he should have a cell tower at his house. Maybe he'd feel differently about it if it was going in his backyard.
I'm only speaking for myself here. I can't speak for fellow commissioners, but for me, I'm having a hard time with this, particularly, if the city has made the determination that they don't want these in parks, I think it's unfair to say that they should be in somebody else's backyard. I am willing to hear the neighbors' responses on if they would be amenable to having the tower located in this northwest corner, but from what I'm understanding from you all, that's not even something that you're willing to do. Is that correct? It doesn't work in that northwest corner, or the property owner is not willing to allow it in the northwest corner?
Well, first of all, I'm not just trying to cover the park. It's covering a very large area, okay? So I just want to make that clear. The park is a concern because of all the activity in the park. That lot, if you, along 21st, you would have to go, like Mr. Adel says, it goes up, so it's a big slope going up to the lot, and then it flattens out. So, I mean, if you gain 50 feet, is that going to matter? I mean, 50 feet is a...
Well, no, we've got more from the north end, from the north property boundary to the south property boundary, that's more than 50 feet, correct?
That is correct, sir. But you're going to lose 20 feet from the front because of the slope. It's built up right there, so it's...
Yeah, no, when I'm making that suggestion, I'm making it on the assumption that there's obviously going to have to be some improvements that bring the topography of that northwestern corner up. So whether dirt is brought in or
But
cut
you,
to...
you can't do that structurally for the foundation of the cell tower, but okay.
So then it's not possible, you guys do not have the ability to locate it in this northwest corner then?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay.
Not of that property. We're not, what that shows, we're actually not, we're 5 feet inside that little line in the southwest corner of that. We're not going there, right there is where the tower is actually to the right of that, east. A little bit more. Okay, right in there. That's where the tower's at. It's only 5 feet inside that dotted line, and that's for landscaping. If you saw the area, you can see on the aerial, if you don't mind, go back the little area with the back one, please, right there. Where I put the tower in that corner, there's a fence line that goes around, right down there and down the east edge of the fence that's kind of hidden in those trees, part of the line is. And that's why I tucked it back into the corner to hide it in that back corner. I know there's a lot of activity going on there, and there's a lot of activity in this area for that matter, but just trying to keep it as not visible as possible, if you will. Sure.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Well, I'm not sure if any of the other board members would like to propose a motion to approve, but that's not coming from me. So, okay. Motion to deny case number 15446 for the special exception requested.
Second.
Okay, the motion is to deny, so if you vote yes,
We're denying.
It's within 75 feet of property.
Well, the reason I'm denying is I do not feel comfortable with the location of the tower in proximity to the homes. And I don't believe it is the least. I think there are other options that need to be researched a little more. Is that sufficient? I apologize. What language do you want me to use? Yeah.
The findings of the staff report.
Oh, hold on here. Yeah. You wanna do it? Okay. So motion to deny case number 15446 due to the reasons that it does not meet the standards and conditions required for the application as far as ordinance requirements with setback and use distance from other towers. Is that close enough? All right, there we go.
okay, now, we've got a more specific motion to deny. We still have a second? All right, so if you vote yes, if you vote yay, we're voting to deny, nay, to deny the motion. So, cast your votes. Okay, you're denied. Okay,
Item number 7, case number 15458, an appeal of Williams Box Forestry Board Law on behalf of Verona LLC on the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission regarding the denial of HCPA 23-00083 located at 324 Northwest 26th Street.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Turner, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. This is an appeal from HP. The property is located on Northwest 26th Street in the Jefferson Park Edition. It does have that HL overlay, which is why we needed to go to HP in the first place. At HP, we requested multiple items. The following were either denied or approved with a condition. The first one was that the concrete border around the landscaped portion, just right in front of the house, that is actually, yeah, those are exhibits to the, sort of an aerial of just the home. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. So if you can see the little landscaping right in front of the home, the concrete border around that was approved with the condition that we submit a site plan to staff to be administratively reviewed and approved due to the fact that the concrete border that you can see along the front walkway and the front stairs, those were two separate items that were denied. And then lastly, the tile that's on the porch and the stairs. So quick backstory, this house did undergo a fire back in 2020. It's been in the process of being renovated, including the applicant has continued to keep those renovations going. It was acting as an Airbnb. They have since stopped renting it out as an Airbnb and will no longer be operating it as an Airbnb. So one less special exception for a home sharing license that you all have to review. They'll just be renting it out long-term or potentially occupying the home. So the reason for the concrete border is because there has been some cracking. The porch especially has cracked significantly and kind of deteriorated over time. So that concrete border on the front stairs and walkway kind of help maintain and preserve it, keep that more stable. It also just kind of acts as a cohesive buffer. You can see those rocks kind of extend down that front walkway. There's some lighting along that front walkway. In terms of the color, it is newer concrete. Over time, that will kind of blend and darken. One of those exhibits, well, we don't have to get to it now. We can go to that here in just a minute. But you'll see a house just right down the street that has an extremely wide, newly paved walkway that we believe this to be much more in line with the area and that HL overlay. Additionally, the tile. So the tile was laid, again, that porch was cracking, water was pooling on the porch. So whenever you were stepping out, there was just stagnant water that would kind of sit there. The other fix here would be to pour concrete over that porch and over those stairs to level it out. We see that the contractor advised me that it's more of a Band-Aid fix. Newer concrete being poured over old concrete doesn't really adhere very well, and those same cracking and deteriorations will again be present in the near rather than far future. The tile that they have laid has utilized a, give me a second, I have the adhesive that they used. It's a latex modified inset. So that is going to prevent that cracking. It's going to allow for proper runoff into those landscaped gardens, and it creates more of a permanent solution than just leveling it out with new concrete. All of these modifications to the home have been to, maintain and preserve what is existing rather than tearing everything out. It also is not a substantive alteration to the actual existing structure of the home. As such, it's kind of viewed that it has a minimal impact on the HL overlay. Again, we're just trying to create solutions that will solve the issues that have been present on the property for some time now, and to continue, making it an aesthetic lot and a bonus to that street. In terms of the walkway, if we can go to that Exhibit A now that's at the end. I went ahead and just did a cursory search of other homes on the street. So you can see this home right down the street has a turfed porch and then that widened walkway that's going to be wider than everything else on the street. And then the next one, Exhibit B, you can see that there is tile that's on the front stairs just right off that sidewalk rather than pushed back to be closer to the home. I'll also point out that, Crown Heights, there's plenty of homes along Crown Heights Park anyways. When I walk my dogs, I notice them that have that similar tile on the porch. And, rather than it being a total deviation from what you're gonna see on that street, we believe that the home that we're, seeking these modifications to or approval of the modifications to is in line with, what you're gonna see in historic neighborhoods. So that, just wanted to make that point. HP guidelines also do contemplate tile as a material to renovate a porch. So that is all of the backstory and history, reasons why we are here before you today seeking approval of those items. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions, comments? Okay. Katie, you want to speak?
I'm Katie Friddle. I'm staff to the HP Commission in the Planning Department, and I'm just here to answer any questions that you all may have.
So just a couple of questions then. There's other homes in the neighborhood that have similar aesthetic changes to their houses. So kind of help us why this was denied.
Sure. So there were 2 examples of houses in the packet that have tile on them. That work was done. I was able to pull those up on the county. That work appears to have been done in 2020, 2021. It was not approved, and it has not been reported to code enforcement. So that work would not be approved if it was applied for, I would say. As far as the particular items here, the guidelines do allow for landscape edging. Says the materials should be consistent, compatible with the historic property and district. The commission did kind of find their way to approve the concrete border at the front landscape beds, even though we don't typically see a poured concrete curb as a landscape border. But they felt that the landscape edging coming down the sides of the sidewalk was too visually prominent and detracted from the typical rhythm and pattern and width of sidewalks on the block and in the district. And I would say that my understanding is that concrete border is not tied into the house in any way. It's not providing any sort of structural support. It might prevent some erosion of the yard along the sidewalk, but the erosion's just going to move out to the edge of the concrete border instead of the edge of the concrete sidewalk. The tile on the porch, the guidelines are very clear about historic front porches. Porches are to be retained and materials replaced in kind. The guidelines specifically say not to apply other surface treatments on a porch. They do reference tile, but that's in the context of a historically tiled porch, which we sometimes see on a more Spanish Mission Revival type of house. This porch we know was historically concrete. The issues that have been described with the porch suggest to staff and were discussed at the commission that there are larger structural issues with the porch that are not going to be fixed by putting adhesive on top of the concrete. Yes, putting new concrete on top is probably also not going to fix the issue, but just continuing to disguise the deterioration of the porch is not the solution that the commission wants to see when we're reviewing historic properties. I think that covers all the items, but yeah, happy to answer any other questions.
Thanks, Katie. I thought that probably was the
And, you know, this is a neighborhood that was designated as a historic district in the late 90s, so there are all sorts of items all over Jefferson Park that today we would not approve, but we have to just start where we start and go from there, so.
Okay. Anything else from the board? I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this one. Does anybody want to address this application? Appeal, I mean.
I will make one more point. There was that concrete parging, is that the correct term there? That was permitted around that bottom of the house to, I know that it was discussed that that tile may not completely fix that issue. The parging was there to kind of reinforce that porch as well. So the parging to keep it more stable along with that specific adhesive that's used to lay the tile, those together would help stabilize that porch and hopefully prevent further deterioration.
Anything else? I guess we're ready for a motion on this one.
I'm presuming since it's the first appeal that we've heard from the Historic Preservation Commission, that we either affirm, reverse, or modify. Is that the correct verbiage on this motion?
You've got a lot of discretion.
Okay, all right. Based on what I've heard, I'm going to propose a motion to affirm the HP Commission's denial of the case number referenced in case number 15458.
Motion to
Affirm.
affirm, okay?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second.
Will there be an order explaining reason for denial that's released?
Well, I think you get to come back. You got to have 3 votes to do anything, and you got 2 and 1. I think we roll over to the next.
I know.
Yeah.
My question is just, is there going to be an order for reasons for the affirmation of denial? Yes. Yeah.
Am I correct? We come back?
Caitlin, it didn't pass.
I guess
You gotta have-
I'm so sorry. My brain, of course, yes. Commissioner Uday left. So what's the next step? Potential remotion or
Yeah, I think we automatically roll to the next meeting.
To the next meeting.
getting
And then
continued?
if there are 3 affirmative votes, one way or the other, then that's the decision of the board.
That's really the only next step at the moment, it looks like, so, okay.
We'll see you again.
Thanks.
Item number 8, case number 15456, an application of a renewal of special exception for a home share in the R1 district located at 1516 Northwest 21st Street.
Okay. Doorbell Investments? Okay.
Okay, they also have item number 9,
Why don't you go ahead and call that one too?
case number 915455, an application for renewal of special exception for Doorbell Investments located at 2737 Northwest 20th.
Okay. Nobody here from Doorbell Investments? Want to just move it to the next one, or?
Item number 10, case number 15446.
Oh, wait, we need a motion. Oh, okay, wait, just in case they show up, and then let's go on to number 10.
Okay. Item number 10, case number 15447, application for special exception for home sharing located at 3031 Northwest 20th Street for M&L Real Estate LLC.
My name is Monica Linville. I'm here with my partner, CC Moore. We are with M&L Real Estate, and we are seeking a special exception for an Airbnb. For a short-time rental. So that is a duplex. One address is 31st Northwest 20th Street, and the other one is at 30 and 30 and a half. 30 and 31 and a half.
Okay. All right.
I also passed some pictures for you to see it, how the apartments look inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just a couple. There's a written protest that we got. I just want to make sure you Did you receive that also?
No, I didn't.
We can get you a copy of that. Just,
Yeah.
it's a neighbor who just some concerns about the short-term rental of the property. I don't know if anybody's here to speak on it or not. No?
No.
Okay, so a couple of
Yeah,
things.
we did a driveway to the right, if I see it from here to the right, so we did a driveway, so we don't interfere with nobody parking, maybe because when he sent the letter, maybe that was not a driveway, so now there is a driveway and nobody's parking on the street or so ever. Maybe that's a concern, but as you can see in the picture, it's a very new driveway, so they can park 4 cars, one behind the other, so probably that's a concern.
Okay, so just a couple other questions on the application. You have, I believe it's two bedrooms,
Yes,
and you have up to 5 people, so how can you accommodate 5 people in the
Two
in the
bedrooms.
Mhm.
yeah, because it's one half a king size bed, so they sleep 2, and then in the other bedroom we have 2 twin size bed, and also in the living room we have a sofa bed, and the sofa bed is a king size sofa bed. But we say 5 people because sometimes there is a couple with kids, so that's what we are saying, 5 people.
Okay. Another thing that we ask for is quiet hours. You have no excessive noise after 9, but we'd like to put a time frame on those quiet hours. So 9 p.m. to 7
Yes,
a.m.,
we do.
8 a.m.
We do, and actually we have the property rented, and we have it rented to nurses, and they like to be very quiet space. So we are seeking for the Airbnb just to have that tool available. But actually the houses are rented to especially nurses, and some of them, they work in the night shift, so everybody has to be quiet, and they love the neighborhood. It's very quiet.
Okay, that's good. Another, on the application, you're asking for 10 years, which is the maximum allowable. With this property being the first time that it's going to have a short-term rental, I always like to have 1 year for the first year. So if you're willing to change the application to a 1-year exemption.
That's okay. And then what we do next?
So in a year, you would just come back?
And we just apply for every year, on the next year
Well,
they are.
if everything's good, then we'll look at it again.
Okay, that
And
sounds
then
great.
the other thing I would ask for is just for this property is a maximum of 2 cars for this property.
Okay.
2 cars.
To what?
Cars, 2-car maximum.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, anything else from the board? Nobody signed up to speak on this one. Anybody want to address the board on this application? I guess we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 15447 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the following modifications. The term shall be for 1 year. Quiet hours shall be from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and a maximum of 2 cars.
Second.
Motion is second. Cast your votes. Okay, you're approved on this one.
Item number 11, case number 15448, an application of M&L Real Estate for home sharing at 3031 and a half Northwest 20th.
Your comments are probably the same thing.
Yeah, this is it's
Okay.
a duplex. So this is a small apartment. That one is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and the living area that you can see in the pictures. And that one has their own driveway. And that one actually just say 1 car, but we can park 2 cars easily because it's a very long driveway. So we have a space to park more than 1 car, but that one has the driveway.
Okay.
And we always ask the tenant to please park in the driveway, and they always do because they just want to get off their car and be close to the entry of the house. So, and they are being very educated in parking in the driveway, not in the street. So,
And this has 1 bedroom, but you're asking for a maximum of 3, so is there a pull-out couch in the?
yes, because they have a sofa bed in the living room. So, they sometimes when they have a couple with maybe 1 kid or something. So.
Anything else from the board? Nobody signed up to speak on this one. Anybody want to address us? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Do you want to put a maximum cars on this one? Two. Okay. Motion to approve case number 15448 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the following modifications. This shall be for a term of 1 year. Quiet hours shall be from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and a maximum number of 2 vehicles.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, and cast your votes. Approved.
Thank you.
Item number 12, case number 1544.
Thank you.
To allow home sharing at 708 Northwest 30th Street, Unit 4.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of Kathy McBride and Alex 98. Just to explain, this was already approved on the 6th, but without the exception, is how it was explained to me. So we're just trying to get the exception approved for short-term rental. Right now, it's for long-term, 30 days plus.
It went to the Historic Preservation on September 6th, because they're in HL.
Okay. How many units are in this apartment complex?
I believe there are 8. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
There's ample parking that she has in the back.
All right. Anything from the board?
Just a couple of things, same thing I said before, there's not quiet hours listed, so we'd like to quiet hours into the application. It's the first time this property is being rented, so for me, I just want to do a 1-year exception, and other than that, 1 car.
That's fine.
Anything else from the board? Nobody signed up to speak on this one, so, nope, okay. Guess we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve case number 15444 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the following modifications. This shall be for a term of 1 year. Quiet hours shall be from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and a 1-car maximum.
Second.
And you're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 13, case number 15459, an application of XR and Raquel Sandoval to allow home sharing at 13201 Southwest 5th Street.
Good afternoon, my name is XR Sandoval. I am the current owner of the property in question, 13201 Southwest 5th Street in Yukon. Lived it for 2.5 years, so we wanted to set aside for short-term rental, which could include Airbnb and VRBO. So this application is for approval of that special exemption. As you can see, we can have up to 2 cars in the garage area. There is some street parking available as well. The neighbors, I've talked to the 2 adjacent, one to the east, one to the west. The one to the east is a truck driver. They're home about 2 days a week. And to the left is a small family. They haven't had any issues of me bringing it up to them about having a short-term rental in that property. We have set quiet hours, which can be adjusted if needed, from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., I believe. So the request is pretty straightforward, just short-term rental for a year to begin with. We put 7 guests, so 3 bedrooms, 2 guests per room, and also there is a sofa that can be pulled out for additional sleeping accommodations if needed.
Okay. Do you have any questions or comments from the board?
Just a couple of questions on the application.
Certainly.
In the application, you're asking for 5 years.
Okay.
So
We could do a year if that's what's needed.
that would be good for me. And then the other part, I would like to put a maximum of 4 cars.
4 cars, okay.
Okay, anything else from the board?
Were the
Nobody's-
quiet hours acceptable to you guys, or to you?
I'm just going to change that to 8 a.m. instead of 7 a.m.
8 a.m.?
8 a.m., yeah. Is there ample room to, what does on-street parking look like? So from this picture there, do we want to ask that all 4 cars be located in the driveway? Can they fit in the driveway, or do we need to use the?
Only 2 cars would fit in the driveway. If we do put 4, they would block off the sidewalk.
Is the garage available?
It's not available.
Three.
3?
Would you be acceptable
Yeah.
with 3 cars?
3 is definitely
That's-
acceptable. Yep.
I got nothing else.
Okay, nobody signed up to speak on this one. Anything else from the board? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Motion to approve case number 154459 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions. With the following modifications, it shall be for a term of 1 year. Quiet hours are adjusted to be 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and a maximum number of 3 cars.
Second.
Okay, motion second, cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Item number 14, an application for special exception of Ottawa Tawasi to allow home sharing at 2424 Northwest 175th Street.
So I'm applying for a special exception for my home. It's 2424 Northwest 175th Street, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73012. It's a 3-bedroom. Oh, I apologize. Adewale Tawoshe.
Why don't you pull the mic just a little bit closer?
Adewale Tawoshe. Is that
Okay,
better?
thank you.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay. So it's a 3-bedroom house. It's 2 full bath, 2-car garage. I'll allow parking in the driveway, no street parking. I have a noise monitoring system in the house to make sure there's not going to be any noises or parties or anything like that. I also have cameras outside to make sure there are no extra guests. I have a strict maximum of 6 guests allowed in the house at any time. So there's no people coming over to visit and anything like that. And I also demand my guests register, and what I mean by register is they send me a copy of the IDs of whoever's going to be in the house at any time. I don't know if you have any more questions. I'll be more than happy to take those.
Okay, do we have anything from the board?
The only thing I did notice in the application that you were applying for a 5-year term.
Yes.
On the exception. First time I say that first time, I think this property currently has an exception, but it's with you being in the residence, right?
Right. So I just to give you more information. So it is my home. I travel for work. The only difference now is I'll be traveling more just post COVID. Just given the fact that I'll be out of town more, I think I'll be applying for the special exception. But I'm okay with the 1 year. I have no problems with that.
Thank you. Otherwise, I mean, the application is put together really well. It seems like you have a lot of controls on this house, and
I do.
Do you have a maximum number of vehicles?
I don't, but just listening to you guys, I'll be more than happy to. I mean, I think I don't allow street parking. I also don't allow parking to where it would block the walkway. So I don't know if you guys are acceptable to 4 as a maximum.
Is
with
the garage available?
Yes, it is. So 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway.
Anything else from the board? Nobody signed up, there's nobody left. I think we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve case number 15450 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for special exceptions with the following modification. This shall be for a term of 1 year, and maximum number of vehicles shall be 4 when utilizing the garage.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you all.
Going back to item number 8, case number 15456, and item number 9, case number 154, investments.
Okay, anybody here from Doorbell Investments? Want to move it to the next?
October 5th.
Did they contact you at all?
Nope.
No?
Okay.
Do they have to be here?
I don't think so.
You don't have to be here.
It's a renewal is the only reason why I was.
Right.
It's your pleasure. You can either continue it or take action. They wouldn't be here, of course, to agree to any conditions that you imposed.
I would like to know what troubles they've had, any complaints.
Yeah.
So I'd
And I was
like to
going to
hear
make some
from.
conditional changes, so.
Oh.
In that, on the staff report I did look, I don't believe there was any.
Yeah, I think it said done.
Yeah, no code violations.
Yeah. And in the application, it didn't have quiet hours, and they wanted a 10-year exemption, so.
So,
Wait, yeah.
Okay, move it?
Move it to,
Okay.
move it to next week, or 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to move case number 15456 and case number 15455 to the October 5th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to continue these, cast
the
your vote.
October 5th is what you said.
Is that the next date?
October 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we got a motion and a second.
Yeah, on the staff report, I looked in the permit portal, and there weren't any code complaints or anything turned in.
Okay.
Did that pass?
Yeah.
Presume it passed? Okay.
Oh, and so we're doing one at a time.
Oh.
Oh, we can do it again?
So
So let's see.
15456 and
Yeah.
15455.
All right, so 15456 has been moved, and then motion to move case number 15455.
Vote, I mean, you have to go through the whole
Yeah.
process for each.
All right, so we'll start with the first one. Motion to move case number 15456 to the next Board of Adjustment meeting,
Which is October 5th.
which is October 5th.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Next one is 15455.
All right. Motion to move case number 15455 to the October 5th Board of Adjustment meeting.
Cast your votes. All right, that one's continued also. I don't have any additional items. No committee reports. Anybody on the board have something to say? Rita?
No.
Citizens to be heard appear to be none. I don't have any other business. Okay, I think we're adjourned. Did I say that?